Hey, it's David Lindell and Brandon Lindell, and this is the Path to Purpose podcast.
This is monthly content and conversations to help you live intentionally and walk in your purpose.
We couldn't be more excited that you've joined us for this episode, and we want to make sure that you subscribe and follow us on all of our social channels so you don't miss a thing.
And if the content helps you, it would mean the world to us if you left a review and shared it with someone else you think would be strengthened by it.
We hope you love this episode of the Path to Purpose podcast.
Well, welcome to the Path to Purpose podcast. We're so glad you're joining us, and we hope that you will subscribe to the podcast. We got a lot of great conversations, and today you're going to absolutely love the conversation we're going to have. We're talking with what we would say is a very wise person,
Yes.
a very kind person, a very humble person, a great leader. We're talking with Pastor Todd Mullins from Christ Fellowship
everybody.
Church. And
Hey, guys.
we're just so excited for this conversation and want to start off just by saying thank you so much for taking the time to do it.
Honored to be here. Love you both and love your church and love what God's doing through you and excited for the season you're in. It's a great season. It really is.
Yes.
It's a season in which you've invested a lot into through your wise words and just good counsel and a track record that has been laid down at Christ Fellowship, which is nothing short of astounding. And so just, we're in ministry with family.
Yeah.
You're in ministry with family.
Yeah.
And then, of course, amazing team at Christ Fellowship who you and Julie lead so well. And so, we're kind of always watching. We're learning from afar, and then you've been so kind with your time to let us come down and hang out with you. And
It's been fun.
We plan to come back, by the way,
please
because, you live in a really great
West
part
Palm
of the
Beach.
country. Come on.
Somebody's got to suffer for Jesus in South Florida. Palm trees, sandy beaches. Send me, Lord.
We want to come. Yes, that's
exactly
what we
right.
keep praying.
Yes.
So send us to see Pastor Todd. And you pastor Christ Fellowship with your wife, Julie.
Yep.
And you guys are just, Brandon said this just a moment ago, but when you interact with the two of you, and we've been in a number of settings with you guys, we've watched you from the platform, but then we've sat around a table and had a meal together. And what I think about when I interact with you and when I walk away from those interactions is actually something that came up in a conversation with somebody this week who asked, have you ever had, somebody, at church, a guest speaker, and they weren't the same off stage as they were on? And I said, I can't think of very many people like that. But I will tell you, there are some people who go the extra mile. And when you see them on the platform and then you see them off stage, they're not only the same person, but they're more of all the best parts of what you saw in public or on the platform. And that's you guys.
Wow.
You guys are your goals. So thank you for being goals. Thank you.
That's humbling. You want to just, be real, love people, love God. I think we know ourselves too. It's like, none of us are perfect. We're all just trying to love Jesus as best we can, help people, follow God, live the best life God's created them to live. Yeah. And we're all learning as we go. And as long as we keep the posture of learning, and we're going to keep growing. So I got a lot of growing to do. I still want to keep learning, man. I'm learning from you guys.
And you and Julie lead together,
the
ministry together. And, I think people would be interested in how long have you guys been a couple?
Yeah, well, we've been a couple she's my 7th grade girlfriend. And
so
we
cool.
met in church. I always say, meet your spouse in the house,
Yeah,
And,
come on, I love
7th
that.
grade.
preach.
Puppy love is real to a puppy. And we dated on and off all through like high school, middle school, sat together. I think it was like dating was sitting by each other at Pizza Hut at a youth group, night or something. But we got married pretty young, 20, and been in ministry serving together. She was a school teacher because our church was real small. Like when I got out of Bible college, like 50 people, 60 people, counting everybody, kids, counting pregnant people twice. We get up to 60. So I wasn't making any money. So she calls that her sugar mama stage. She had to kind of keep me and pay for stuff. But anyway, but we've been leading together, whether she was teaching and just volunteering or when she was able to step on team and start leading together for decades. But for the last 15 years, we've been serving as the senior pastors of Christ Fellowship.
So are you guys a lot alike in terms of what you would want to do on your day off? Like if you're going to go on a vacation, is it like, yes, or are
Yeah.
you more like, I'm going to be outdoorsy, and she's like,
I think we're a lot alike and have a lot of similarities of what we like to do, and we've been best friends since 7th grade.
Yeah.
But we're not alike in our gifting. So she is gifted in ways I'm not gifted in, and so by us serving together, we're actually so much better than just either one of us trying to
Yeah, that's
lead,
great.
because there's components that she's gifted at that I don't want to do, that she's great at. And so we've, you define the lanes. You like, this is your lane, this is my lane. These are where our lanes kind of merge, and you just keep moving together. So
what is a day off like?
yeah.
Todd and Julie are unwinding. What do you guys do?
Yeah, we'll go to the gym in the morning. Then we'll go, we'll usually go out to lunch, hang out at lunch, sit by the pool. We got a pool finally at our house. So we'll sit by the pool, hang out. The kids will come over. We'll do dinner, or we'll get together with some friends on staff, some of our friends, and I don't know, play cards and grill out. That's usually
What's the card game that you play?
Well, we got a couple that we love. We like this Hand and Foot. Like, it's a pretty long game, takes a while, but yeah, we got a few games.
we need to put that in the episode notes. So that
Yeah,
people can
Hand
look
and
that
Foot,
up, because
yeah.
I have not played Hand and Foot.
Is it
And I think-
competitive?
It's Julie and I are both very competitive.
Okay.
So yeah, we take
I like
people out.
when people
Yeah.
say that phrase and their head goes back.
Yeah.
You know it's true. It's like,
Like, let's go.
We're
Let's
very
go. We are
competitive.
very.
It's like almost
competitive.
scary.
We like euchre. Do y'all play euchre?
I have
It's
played
very
euchre.
Midwest,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So
yep,
we've
mhm.
I learned that in college when I was at Indiana for school. So yeah,
euchre, you have to be, if you're good at it, you have to be really fast. Like in your decision making, and I'm not. So like whoever my partner is always carrying me along.
So given that you're both competitive,
Yeah.
so we could get real here. If we need to delete this, we can.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
okay.
that's how honest I am thinking this could go. Given that you're both competitive and at playing games, was there ever a time like when you were like dating and you were playing a game and like you took her out in the game and then it didn't go well
when
for
we
you?
were married.
Oh,
when we were
okay.
early married, we would get into knockdown, drag out. No, you're cheating. No,
Oh, like rules calls.
Yeah,
Oh
my
yeah.
goodness.
And we learned pretty quick that when we went to go play with other people, that we had to be on the same team, because if we were on opposing teams,
Yeah, it's not good.
One of us went home mad at night, so that's not good, right? I mean, especially when
See, you
you're
learn
newlyweds.
things in marriage.
Yeah,
This is the,
yeah.
now you can counsel all these young competitive couples.
What would your counsel be if there's a competitive couple to the husband? What would you tell? Oh, okay, me and my wife are competitive. What would you tell the
Let
husband?
her win. Just let her win. It doesn't matter. You just, yeah.
Does she need to know that you're letting her win?
No, 'cause I can't let you leave.
yeah.
See, this is getting so
are
good.
good
I knew it
notes.
was going to go deep. I just didn't know it was going to go that wide.
Well, that's a good one.
Yeah. So you guys are grandparents now.
Yeah.
Like, how has that changed your whole frame of reference? Like,
I did not know. They say, when you have a kid, you don't know you can love that much. Like, a part of your heart opens up that when we had our son, I was like, oh my gosh, I did not know that was there. And so we have one child. We wanted more, but God only gave us one. So we're like, okay, he's gotten the love of like 8 kids on him. And, but I didn't know that there's a whole nother chamber of your heart that would open up for your grandkid. And so, yeah, so it is fun. We are loving, she's only 2 months old. So what do? Hold her and feed her, and that's it. But we are looking at her and she's smiling at us. And, so yeah, we're loving it.
that's so great.
So great. Do you guys do like? I mean, the 2 months you probably can't like watch her overnight. But
Not
like,
overnight, but
you
we
can.
the kids go out on a date and we get the date
Okay.
night. I think we got one coming up this weekend. So
Oh yeah, I can feel the excitement.
I know,
That's a-
yeah.
Well, and the thing about that is it's exciting on both ends. Like, it's like, man.
Oh yeah.
yeah. You
They're
guys
getting
are
a date
happy.
night.
You're happy
Yeah.
when you guys get a date.
Yeah.
Yes,
We're
100%.
Our parents are next level on doing that. They actually do a camp for our kids twice a year. So it's like a multi-day experience. They do a
great. You guys
summer
go
camp
away?
for them.
Yeah, usually, yeah.
Get a little time away, and then they're happy. They don't want us to come back, so it's really
Win-win.
good all the way around. So, but they like make shirts for them. They like there's all kinds of surprises
activities,
built in.
the
I need to
whole-
take notes. So when
Yeah,
the whole kit and caboodle.
they don't mess around. So we are so excited about something about this conversation, because as much as we just want marriage wisdom and how to not hurt your spouse's feelings when you play a board game, all of that's really, really important. But you have written a book called
Yes.
Don't Let Doubt Take You Out.
Yeah, yeah.
And I would just say, I think the issue of how people deal with their doubts, how people process doubt,
Yeah.
to me, is come to a head in culture in a way that maybe isn't new, but I think the way that people are dealing with it because of social media, so many people are deconstructing publicly. A lot of people feel like if they're not telling what they're walking through, how they're feeling, how they're processing their faith to a camera, to their phone, then they're not being true to themselves. And so I think that causes, especially a lot of people, doubt is contagious. It's and in the same way, like when you're faith filled, and you're around people and you're talking that way, that rubs off on people. But the importance of a book like this in this moment is so it's so important, so needed. And so, one, thank you for writing it. But I was curious because you tell this story at the very beginning of the book about you and Julie out in Colorado. And, it's funny how doubt can take root in a person's heart in so many different ways.
Sure.
Like there's so many different inroads to that. And obviously for people listening, there's some of them, and I'll just acknowledge it. There are some people listening to this and they are struggling big time with doubt. And it takes a variety of forms. What was your heart like when you sat down and said, okay, I want to write a book about this? What first grabbed you and said, this has to be said, it has to get on paper?
Well, it's a very personal book because of my own struggle with doubt. And a lot of people were surprised that my first book was about doubt because they're like, Todd, it seems like you've got the gift of faith. You pray, you're strong, you believe. And it's been easy for me to actually believe it, like believe the word of God, stand on the promise. And even when it comes to self-doubt, when you look, you would say, well, Todd, you seem pretty self-confident. You top of your class, graduated this, running this. But I will tell you, doubt has been knocking at my door since I was a young kid. And through my life and through my life experiences of talking with people and pastoring people for all these years, what I've come to realize is everybody deals with doubt. Even the most confident, capable, successful person they all deal with doubt in their life, and we deal with it repeatedly. We think sometimes, and I think that our enemy of our soul tries to get us to think that we're the only person feeling this way. We're the only person dealing with this insecurities. Everybody else seems like they've got it, they're killing the game, it's going good, and so we close up and we don't talk about it, or we put on a facade to kind of hide it, and we go through life without ever opening up about it. But really, doubt hits us in three different areas of our lives. The first time I dealt with doubt, and the first time when I talked to almost everybody else, we doubt ourselves.
Yeah.
Long before we ever doubt God.
Yeah.
And his abilities, we doubt our own abilities. We see everybody's successes and we know our own failures. We know our own insecurities. We don't think we measure up. We don't think we have what it takes. Somebody said something to us when we were young. And so because we don't think we can, we don't. And we don't step out into the life God's called us to have. And so if we listen to that voice of self-doubt, it actually takes us out from being who God created you to be. You never lived the life you've been created because you constantly think, well, I can't, or what if I fail, or what if... So the first place is self-doubt. The second is doubt comes into relationships.
Yeah. Like
when people let you down or they hurt you or offend you, immediately we're suspicious of their behavior. Why'd they do that? We question their loyalty, we question their friendship, we draw back. And when that happens, doubt's trying to take you out of the relationship game.
Yeah.
And we've been created for relationship. Like God has hardwired us for life-giving relationships. And what doubt does in a relationship is we start building these walls up, not high enough to keep everybody out, but to keep people back. And so it keeps the bad out, but it also keeps the good out. And so it ends up messing with us. But doubt really does, I believe, its most damaging work when it comes to the supernatural. And when you think of it by definition, supernatural means it's above the natural. It's supernatural. And I think doubt is the natural response to the supernatural. If you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't quantify it, we begin to question it and doubt it. And when we listen to that voice of doubt, a lot of times it happens when maybe God doesn't come through the way we thought he would, the way we prayed that he would. He doesn't come through on our timetable. We begin to question if prayer works. Is God really there? Does he really care about me? Can I really rely on him? And again, listening to the voice of doubt there actually disconnects you from the creator of life, your creator, the one who holds your life all together. And so doubt can be pretty destructive. But if we learn how to deal with it and all of that, I believe it can it can lead to a deeper faith. Like if it can help you really understand, well, why do I believe what I believe?
Yeah.
If we work with doubt instead of let it work on us, it can actually lead to healthier relationships because you press in and have the hard conversations and you work through it. If you really work through it on the self-doubt, you can begin. For me, self-doubt hit me pretty hard, especially when I was stepping in to take over the church. So when the church, our church was small for many, many years, and then as it grew, I kind of grew up with it. And after 25 years of serving mom and dad, it was time for me to step in. But I didn't have much preaching experience because I had been a youth pastor a long time ago, but then I'd been the worship guy and the multi-site guy and all these other things. And my dad was like, you got to learn how to preach. It's kind of like part of the job. Like you got to get good at this. So he coached me up, maybe get out there and do it. But the church at the time was 11,000 people on a weekend.
Wow.
Lots of big budget, lots of staff. And when I was out there trying to preach at the same time, John Maxwell, your friend John, he had just moved to South Florida, our church, to be a part of our teaching team. And so he would, on weekends he was home, which was many weekends in that season, he was sitting on the front row while I was on the platform trying to preach. I'm like, why is John Maxwell here? And I'm trying to preach.
Not intimidating.
And one Sunday I was preaching and I looked out and I saw Reinhard Bonnke.
Oh man.
I'm like, in the middle of preaching, I'm like, I think that's Reinhard Bonnke. Why is Reinhard Bonnke here?
Don't you love how when you're preaching, you can have these thoughts that
Hold
are
on,
like,
total,
you're still,
like,
total
isn't
thinking.
that
And my
wild?
mouth is still moving, but over here I'm thinking, and I'm like, why am I trying to preach with Reinhard Bonnke? So I remember, guys, all of that was around the same time before I had stepped in to take over. And I'm thinking, God, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like if I fail and I'm not doing good right now, everybody's going to know. Like everybody's going to watch my failure, compare me to my dad, compare me to John Maxwell. And I just was like, I don't have enough. I don't have it. And I remember the moment the Lord responded to my prayer of insecurity of I'm not enough. And it wasn't the response I was hoping for. Like I think I was hoping for something from like Lion King, as I was with your father,
So
I will be with you, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
But what I got was, Todd, you're not enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you don't have what it takes. And I remember in that moment going, wait, well, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? But as I continued to listen, what I heard him say was, you're not enough, but I'm more than enough.
Yeah.
You don't have what it takes, but I have what you need. And what I realized then is that doubt was keeping me dependent. Doubt was going to keep me, even self-doubt was going to make me desperate for God. And that keeps you in a good place, right?
Yeah.
When you realize you got some weaknesses, and we all do,
Yeah.
but we can rely on his strength, and his strength will carry us through.
Don't you think a lot of people, when it comes to that conversation of doubt, whether it's self-doubt or relationships or supernatural, definitely in the supernatural, it's connected to a lot of shame. Because when somebody who maybe we all grew up in a Christian home, so when you have a doubt or when somebody has a doubt, they think, I should be more spiritual than this. I should be farther along than this. But then that shame kind of pushes them down the cycle because when you feel shame, you don't want to connect to the God because you feel like you're wrong for doubting. And it just has that almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, God, shouldn't I trust you more than this right now?
Right. And we hide it and we don't talk about it. And that's why we think that nobody else is dealing with it. Right. Because we think we're the only ones dealing with it. So we'll just kind of tuck it and keep going to church or and for me, I was dealing with it while I was, and on another level, when I started doubting God, when our son was going through some serious physical situations where the doctors weren't able to give us a report on why. And I mean, it was dark. I write about it in the book. And it's the first time I really shared about it. We didn't share about it publicly because we were in the middle of it. But I remember being in the middle of that and I was questioning everything I believed.
Wow.
Like I was up on Sunday preaching. I was the senior pastor then. But but God wasn't answering our prayers. It seemed like silence. Heaven was dead silent. I couldn't get through. And I remember just questioning everything. And fear was gripping my heart. I think doubt and fear work hand in hand.
100%.
You start doubting God or doubting the future or worry, and the anxiety starts speaking into that.
Yeah.
And we were in the middle of all of that. I remember one day we went to the beach to walk and pray because when you live in South Florida, that's what you get to do. You get to walk on the beach. But our son hadn't been out of the house much. He was 13 years old, didn't want to eat, didn't want to live, didn't want, it was just despair, and it was pretty dark. We dragged him, walked on the beach. We're walking on the beach, and my wife and I are walking behind him. He's walking with our dog, and we're crying and praying and crying. What is going to happen? He's the only child. What's going to? And this guy comes walking towards us on the beach, and wearing this T-shirt. And I normally wouldn't tell you to get your theology from a T-shirt on the beach in South Florida, because that could be very dangerous. But that day, the Holy Spirit used a T-shirt to speak to us. And this guy's shirt said, "Listen to what you know, not to what you fear."
Wow.
Listen to what you know, not to what you fear.
Wow.
And instantly, Julie and I realized what we had been doing is listening to what we feared, and we had put the fears on repeat, because we were talking about all of our fears and concerns for our son, and what if this happens, and what if he doesn't get any better, and what if the doctors can't find anything, and what if he never has a friend, and what if he never gets married, and what if he never can have a job. And that's where we were living, in this fear. And so that day we went home, and we're like, okay, what do we know? We know Jefferson is loved, he is called, he is chosen, he's anointed, he was a gift from God. We know that he who began a good work in Jefferson is faithful to complete it.
Yeah.
We know that God is a healer, he is Jehovah Rapha.
Yeah.
So we began to put little Post-it notes all around our house.
Smart.
We began to profess and confess what we knew. We just had to change the tape from what we were saying. And I would like to say, the next day Jefferson got better, but he didn't. But something shifted on the inside of us.
Wow.
Buddy, that day, things changed. A light and a peace and a joy began to fill our hearts and push out some of the despair and the doubt. And we were like, okay, no, this is gonna make us fight harder in faith for what we knew was to come.
Did she see the T-shirt as well?
Yeah, we both saw it at the same time.
Do you think it was an angel?
It could have been. He was built like an angel.
It feels
he was like strong, muscular. I'm like, yeah, it could have been.
But it feels
could have
like
been.
it's so crazy that it would happen, that you'd both see it, and that you both felt like it was a word from the Lord.
It was a word from the
That's
Lord.
cool.
It was amazing. And, fast forward, my son, it took him a while to get out of what he was in, and we prayed like it was all up to God and worked like it was all up to us, and did everything that we could for him. And he slowly but surely got better and better and better. Graduated high school, went to college, graduated top of his class, got a job, leading worship, plays
so
3 or 4 instruments, leads worship at our church, got married 5 years ago, and just had his first baby. So man, it's still a miracle in motion. Like there's still things we're praying for.
Yeah.
But man, to see what the Lord has done is great. But there was a season where I could not see it.
Yeah.
Even with being a person of faith, a pastor, you would like, come on, Todd, you're a pastor. You should know, but we all deal with doubts.
Yeah.
If somebody listening to this, watching this, is in that, they're in the bottom, or they feel like, I just can't see it. Like when you say the thing, like, live based on what you know, they're like, that would be great. I feel like I might die. Like I'm just, what would be like a piece of pastoral counsel that you would, if they're saying, I know that, I know, no. But there's something about when what you know really gets into the way you're going to see the world. And I think a lot of people, they're in a zone where they for whatever reason, they can't figure out how to make that leap. Like, and are there some things that you would say, this is what you would really, really help you?
Yeah,
if you would do this.
I'll tell you what helped my wife and I. I've heard someone say that your life moves in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Mm. So, and the problem is most people don't give thought to their thoughts, right? We don't think about what we think about. Mm-hmm. And so for Julie and I, what we had to do was we had to retrain our thinking. And we had to come up with daily declarations. And we wrote them out on little postcards. Julie would keep hers right next to her bed so that the first thing she'd reach for when she woke up was her daily declaration, and she would say it. She had 5 of them before she would get out of bed. I have daily declarations that I say, and they actually change the narrative and the script and my expectation of what I'm believing God for, who God is, what God's able to do, who I am in Him. It gave me a boldness. So there was this. We both have these daily declarations that we speak.
When do you say them?
She does hers in her prayer time now. She doesn't have them by her bed anymore. But there was a season back in 2020 when we all were like holding on for dear life. Just like getting out of bed was like a big deal. So she had to bring them right into the bedroom. But I have mine in my prayer journal. So I have a prayer journal that I write some of my prayers out in. But then I have a prayer list. And at the end of my prayer list of the things I'm praying over and the people I'm praying for, I'll have the daily declarations there. And it's simple things. Help me. Today I declare that the greatest gift I can give to my children is a life lived for Jesus. And so I will set an example in my speech and my purity and my faith. Yeah. And so I list these things out. Good. So that might be for them, something about Julie, something about my team that I'm leading, something about what I'm believing God for in my life. And they pretty much stay the same. I've changed them over the years a little bit. And the other thing we had to do is we had to acknowledge the lies we were believing. What were the lies that that the enemy somehow, it took root? And then what scripture actually replaces that lie? So we replaced the truth over the lie, and then we were able to just identify it. That's and it great. Helped us it gave us something tangible to hold on to besides, wait, I remember a pastor one time said, the word of God is powerful.
Yes.
So did somebody help you identify those lies? Like when you're saying like we identified the lies we believed, like was that you having conversations with each other, or was that somebody from the outside helping you be like,
for us, that? Julie did talk to somebody from the outside, a counselor. Yeah. For me, it was Julie and I talking together, and then some of it was just me in my quiet time going, what is this? What's at the root of this anxiety right here? What's at the root of this fear that is keeping me up at night? And then I go, okay, that's when I'm believing that it's not going to get any better. I'm believing that it's hopeless. So then I would dig through the scriptures and come up with 3 or 4 scriptures that would answer that lie and wrote them out. In fact, in the back of the book, I wrote out my daily declarations, and I wrote out the truth of God that replaces these lies. So here's the lies or the fears of anxiety or doubt, and then here's the truth that you can replace it with.
Whatever the book cost is, it would be worth that. I mean, honestly, if the book was that short, which it's not.
What's interesting is I put so much in the appendices or whatever they're called when they're plural. I've got so much at the back of it that my editor was like, you really want to put this in? I'm like, yes. Yeah. The reader needs to have access to these.
I think that's so true. A lot of times that's the most applicable parts of the book, because you love reading somebody's story and you glean things, and obviously at the end of each chapter there are takeaways, but that is where the rubber meets the road for a lot of people, because they don't, unless somebody shows most people how to do that, it feels like I'm not a pastor, like I'm not a theologian, like at least I don't think of myself that way. Like their narrative almost disempowers them from doing that. And so thank you for including that. And what a gift that is. And actually, as you're saying it, at one point I had something like that in my time with the Lord, and I'll just own it. Like I've gotten away from that. And even as you're saying it, I feel like the Lord is like, that's a word for you. You need those daily declarations, because it's not lost on you. We're in a season of transition. And so a lot of things you're saying are incredibly applicable, but I think that one in particular, it's like, I think my family needs that. Your kids, our kids are not all teenagers, but they're 75% of them now are. And so like that, you think about that and you're like, I want to make sure that I mentally am training them to be intentional about their thoughts. And if I'm not doing, to me, that is a pretty basic. I know a lot of people, they skip it, or they, like me, did it at one point and then get away from it. And that's so powerful.
Even if you don't do it daily, do it weekly. I mean, if you start your week off and go, I'm declaring this week. And then for me, there's some of them that I go back to more regularly. Like, okay, I may not do it every day, but a few times a week, this one right now, I need a lot of help.
I would imagine people, when they start that, and maybe this would be true for you, they would be like, the first few times they do it, they're kind of like, it feels different. But as you do it more often, it kind of like takes the full effect, like taking vitamins or something.
There's power in our words. When we bring our words in alignment with the word, right, there is an alignment there. There's an anointing that comes with that. And so I would want to make sure that whatever daily declarations you come up with, that they're anchored to scripture too, and who you are called to be as a parent or as a spouse or as a business owner, that you're identifying who you are in Christ. And those declarations actually give you a sense of what I call Godfidence. It's not a confidence in yourself. It's a confidence in who God is in you and the power of God working in your life, and that he's anointed you for what you're getting ready to do. Because like what you guys are getting ready to step into, I was there like 15 years ago, and we both have like legends for fathers, there's like these, decades of just faithfulness and accomplishment. And if we aren't careful, we'll think, oh, well, I'm not that. And how do I be that? Or I've got to try to be that. And we don't have to try to be that. We got to be who we are called to be in God.
So good.
Yeah.
And we got to walk in the anointing that's on our lives with that as just this heritage of foundation in our lives, which we so are thankful for.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And as you talk about, so you referenced this a little bit ago, like Reinhard Bonnke. If you don't know who Reinhard is and you're listening to this, you got to look him up. Google him. And then, of course, John Maxwell. In terms of, so you're on the platform, you're preaching, you're opening God's word, thousands of people attending, and you've got John Maxwell sitting on the front row. Was there any, I think you've referenced this, but that at some point John spoke into, did he speak some words of encouragement to you, or did he do some things that kind of helped you get a hold of that?
I had to make a decision because I was so intimidated with him sitting there. I would like try not to even preach towards the seats he was in because I'm like, I don't want to look at him. I don't want to look. And then I realized that's ridiculous. I've got one of the best communicators on the planet sitting here. I need to go to him. And he would come to our Saturday night church services. So I still had 3 chances or 4 chances on Sunday to get better. So I decided, I said, John, can you help me get better? What could I do better in this message? I decided to lean into it and let it be, let him coach me up. And he always had like something good to say, but he always had like 2 or 3 things to coach me on. And I would take notes and it would make the sermon better the next day. And then if he came back the next time I preached, I'd ask him again and he'd do it again. So to this day, if he's in the room, I will ask him, what can I do to get better?
That's so good. Is there a principle or something that transcends a particular message that you would say he would often say this? Or I want to know if you could be the conduit of John Maxwell preaching wisdom.
He would often say to me, Todd, you need to slow down. You've been studying for a week or 2 for this message. You have so much you want to say. You're so excited about it. And then when you get up, you're like, I want to get it all out there, but people aren't ready to hear it at that speed. So just slow down your pace, take longer pauses. John is the master of the pause, but especially as you're turning the corner, he goes, both hands on the steering wheel, turn slowly so that you don't lose people.
So in those transition moments of the sermon, you're going to change thoughts, or you're going to move to the next place. Nice.
And he would say, if you have 3 points, and you'll hear him do this. He goes, now this is really what I want you to hear. If you don't remember, so he always emphasizes one of the points above the rest. And he said that helps the listeners to go, okay, he's got my attention now. Usually it's near the end. It's usually his last point. And so I'll implement that pretty regularly.
Did anybody at that time go, I can tell like you've been influenced by John Maxwell?
No, I didn't like use John's voice when I was let me tell you.
I
didn't
You didn't have a sermon called the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership.
I didn't have cards I pulled out of my pocket, laminated. I didn't do any of that. I tried to just take the principles, apply them to who I was.
My name is Todd, and I'm your friend.
I didn't do that.
Even though you are
But
very
if
friendly.
you did, it would have been okay. It would have been okay.
That's awesome.
He's a great person to
Those are so, the pause thing, anybody who's ever listened to John talk, even like conversationally, he's good at it. But he was here last year and spoke, and I was reminded once again of his gift and the way he's cultivated that gift. To be at his stage of life, and he's obviously had all these amazing experiences, but the freshness of what he brought here, and simultaneously the joy that he injected into the room, because I was laughing. I'm a crier. When I laugh, if I really get going, I'm going to have some tears. And I was just gut laughing, man. He just is the best.
Well, you know why it was so fresh is because John gets up every morning before his alarm goes off. He says by 5 a.m. he's in his office. He's writing new material, new thoughts. And so he's creating all the time. He never stops creating material and thoughts and And I was with him the other day, and he started telling me the new thing he's thinking about right now, and he's building this whole thought out, and he bounces it off people, you know.
Yeah,
so you've been with him when he's done something like that, and he's always thinking new thoughts. And then at the end of the day, every day he takes time to reflect on what he learned that day. Most of us, we don't do that. We're not creating content every day. We're not writing down stuff every day, and we're definitely not reflecting. We're just glad we made it through the day. Dear God, you know what I'm saying? But I think that's what makes John John. And I think if we can learn a little bit, maybe we take one of those things and go, okay, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to reflect. How about that?
Yeah, that's so good. When he was here, I was like, so are you working on a book? He's like, well, I'm actually writing 3 books. You know,
yeah, right.
Of course. Why would I even think one? You know, but it's so great, and it's so challenging, you know. And I think one of the things even about being with you and talking leadership, we've gotten the privilege of talking a lot of leadership. The intentionality that you've led with, obviously plug for Christ Fellowship Conference.
Absolutely.
But just to hear somebody articulate, this is why we're doing what we're doing. This is how we do it. It's not a claim that you're doing it the best.
Right.
But honestly, the intentionality is so challenging, and we try to be as intentional as we possibly be. But what's interesting is when you're trying to be intentional and then you hear somebody talk about their intentionality, you're like, wow, we could be a lot more intentional. And so
we all can.
But I think it is being around people who push you to grow. And I also think the humility it takes to initiate the conversation with John and say, okay, you're the leadership guru, like, if not the guy, you're one of like top 3 in the world. And added to that, you've pastored, you know, a mega church, like you grew this amazing church by the grace of God and the power of the Holy Spirit, and you're a brilliant communicator. Would you give me feedback on my message? And a lot of people just are not willing to put them in a spot.
I think, you took something that was like intimidating and could cause insecurity. And you basically turned it.
Well, it was causing insecurity.
Yeah.
So I decided to stop it in its tracks so it didn't have the power over me. So I went to John, and that...
Face it.
Then I wasn't nervous. The next time he was there, I'm like, okay, he's going to give me some pointers. I don't need to be nervous that John's...
rather than being like, what is he thinking right now?
What is he thinking? Like, I'm going to know what he's...
I'm going to know. In about 25 minutes, I'm going to know.
What a gift.
Yeah, it really is.
What a gift.
It has been.
So for people, like I'm thinking of like, okay, you've got a student and they're intimidated by a class, or they're intimidated by somebody in their life, or, you know, a situation, a coach. Like, what would you encourage them, you know, because this could apply at any level, but I think for a lot of like teenagers and college students, a lot of, I mean, I can't name how many professors I would have loved to have a private conversation with, or like, you know, in Bible college, go up to them and be like, hey, can I ask you? But I was so in awe, like / nervous around them. Like they were like, you wrote this book or whatever. I had that in my head. So I regret now looking back, like, why didn't I just go to them and talk to them? What would you, are there some simple things? I mean, obviously you just went to John, but if somebody's in that situation, other than the general principle of leaning into that, that you would say, this would help you it would help you break down that wall of insecurity if you will do.
Yes. Here's what I do. Because John lives he goes to our church, and he lives in our town. And so every once in a while, he'll call us up and go, hey, Margaret and I want to take you and Julie out to dinner. So the first time he did this, we went out to dinner. We were just excited to go to dinner with John and Margaret Maxwell.
Yeah.
And we sat down and we started eating the meal, just started the conversation. And then about 10 minutes in, he goes, okay, so what questions do you have? And I looked at him like,
you're like, oops.
Oh, that's what this was.
Okay.
I didn't know that's what this was. So like I fumbled some. Julie, thank God, she's always got questions. So she was like able to save the day.
She goes, he has lots of questions.
She's got lots of problems.
The first one is.
So we made it through that first meal. The next, I walked away. I told Julie that will never happen again.
Yeah.
I will always be well prepared. So a month or two later, he called up, we're going to go to dinner. I'm like, absolutely. Canceled what was ever on the calendar, went to dinner. I prepared probably 2 hours for that dinner. I had questions written out ready to go. And I thought through what he told us last time. I wanted to let him know how I did some of the things that he helped us out with in leadership, and that here are our new questions for him. And so I would just say, to answer your question, do that. Like if you know you're going to go to a professor or somebody that you're maybe intimidated by, just write out a few questions that you think through. This is how I want to ask this question. So you, again, give thought to it before you actually get up there. And it gives me confidence now. When I go to the dinners with John, I'm not like thinking, oh, crud, I don't know what to say or how to act or what to ask that's like smart. I've given thought to this and I'm ready to have an intellectual conversation with John Maxwell and gain some actual knowledge that I need for my leadership.
So when you said, or when he goes, what questions do you have? And you were like, do you think he knew?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a bad poker player. I was like, yeah. Julie's kicking me under the table. I got this.
I love that about him, that he was like, you weren't a one and done with him. He was like, hey, next month I'll call you again. And he knew you'd figure it out.
Yep.
Man, I love that whole idea of when you are with somebody who you can learn from, honor them enough to prepare for the conversation and be bold enough to say, hey, I know you could be sitting with anybody. Because I mean, that's the reality. John, how much would people pay to have dinner with John Maxwell? And you honored him by saying, okay, moving forward, I'm going to come prepared. And I think a lot of times,
I even told him that night, I said, John, that will never happen again.
Wow.
I said, I realized.
So you own that part too.
And that's why you had dinner with him again.
Probably.
If I hadn't said that, he might have gone right.
Which I think that is so great.
That's smart though.
Yeah.
And
I wanted to let him
wise.
know. I know that I'm sorry. I didn't realize that's what this was. I thought you just wanted to hang out with me.
I thought we were going to be BFFs.
He's like, no, we're not friends.
No,
we're BFFs.
He's such a genuinely kind person.
He sure is.
And a gracious person. So to be able to do that. And I couldn't help but think, as you were talking about him pouring into you, how thankful we are that you've poured into us.
Yeah.
Because people listening wouldn't know this, but there's been several times now that we've had the opportunity to like do a phone call with you or to sit down with you. I mean, when we came out to see you, you took like the whole day to be with us. And so, I mean, we're the beneficiaries of, you obviously, I think you're kind in general, but like John pouring into your life, you pouring into our lives, and your dad obviously pouring into your life, and you pouring into us. And that has genuinely affected us in a powerful way. And so thank you.
You're welcome. And isn't that what we're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, God uses people to pour into our lives. We get better, we get enriched, we get challenged, we grow, but it's not just for us. It's so that we can pour into other people and bless other people. So,
Well, and I guess what I would ask as well, because I realize there are people listening to this and they're not maybe a college student. They actually are a leader in their industry, or they are running a company now, and people are looking up to them, but maybe they haven't been intentional about offering themselves as a resource.
right.
What would you say it would be a way that they could simply position themselves or open the door to young leaders around them in a way that would set the table? Because obviously John invited you to dinner, and he invited you with a purpose, and you kind of figured it out in the moment. And that was really, it was a God opportunity. And yet I think there are a lot of leaders like, oh, I'm not John Maxwell. What would I have to say?
Right.
I think they may not be personally insecure in some ways, but there's maybe like an unwillingness to acknowledge that God has really gifted them, or an unwillingness, or they just haven't thought about it intentionally. How would you encourage them to leverage their abilities, their experience for the younger people in their life?
Yeah, I think for a lot of leaders, either we don't think that we have anything to offer, like, well, I'm not John Maxwell, or I'm not ever written a book, or I haven't, whatever, or, and mostly this is it, we're too busy. We're running our companies, we're running our businesses, we're running our life. We don't have time to have a mentor. I got to come up with material to mentor. And so one of the things that I am getting ready to start right, like in the next couple of weeks, is I'm bringing together some guys on my team that are younger. They're in their maybe late 20s, early 30s. And we're going to do lunch once a month. and they bring the questions. And then I'm going to tell them, you bring the questions, whatever it is about life, about marriage, about leadership, you bring the questions, and we'll have lunch together, be an hour. And if you don't have any questions, it's going to be a really short lunch, but it's going to be a time for, I don't have to prepare for that. I can just go with like this podcast, just questions.
Yeah.
But if they come, and then what that will do for me is I'll be able to see what's behind in their brain as well, what kind of questions they bring, how they're thinking, what they do with it. It actually give me insight into them,
Right.
but it's an easy way for me to share with them as well without requiring more preparation.
Easy and intentional. And that's what it really comes down to is like, everybody should be doing it. You just have to be intentional to find an avenue that works for you and not say I'm too busy.
Right.
Because you could easily say I'm too busy.
Right.
But you're finding a place where like, well, this will work and I'll be able to accomplish that very important aspect of leadership and mentoring that, even you're saying like that will make you better because you're going to get insight to them. Yeah. You're also going to be sharp on what people are thinking. I think that's really smart.
Also for pastors that might be listening or church leaders, another thing I've seen my dad do is he'll do like just a 6-week Bible study with some guys. Guys can't commit to like, okay, the rest of your life I'm signing up for that Bible study. But hey, for 6 weeks, we're going to get together early in the morning before you go off to work and, my office here at church. And we're going to, and a lot of times the business guys are like, oh, wow, I need help spiritually. Like I know how to run a company and make millions of dollars, but you could help me, in this area of my walk with God. And so if you get that one-on-one time, that's another easy way to pour into somebody.
So really just carving out, making space for it. Because it's going to look different, different schedules, breakfast, Bible study, lunch. Yeah. But it's just making it the priority.
I think anytime you can go from one-on-one to one-on-5, one-on-6, you multiply your impact. Yeah. I've done a lot of one-on-one, and then I walk away going, man, it would have been good if I invited them and them and them to it. Yeah. I could have expanded it, made it a little more better use of time.
So true.
Yeah.
Well, I know we've learned a lot. And I've taken a lot of mental notes. I haven't been writing things down. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this episode of the podcast, which, by the way, I actually really enjoy doing. I like the Path to Purpose. I enjoy this podcast. And
Have you subscribed?
I do.
Yes,
I subscribe.
definitely.
I've left a great review. And I've pushed the bell for notifications. So I've checked all the boxes. And it's the same thing we would ask you to do wherever you are at in the world. We're so thankful you are part of this amazing conversation with our good friend, Pastor Todd Mullins. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Honestly, our gratitude cannot be expressed in words.
Yeah, love you guys.
We're
Proud of you. Excited,
grateful for you.
Excited for this season. It's going to be great.
You've invested big time, and by the grace of God, will continue to.
Yes.
But for everybody who was part of this conversation, we love you so much. We're so thankful for you, and of course, I already said it. Do what I did. Drop a review. Let other people know about the pod. Maybe share the episode with some people that you think would benefit from it. I know that they will. And so make some space. Actually, this would be a great podcast episode to use if you're mentoring young leaders or you've got a group of people that you get together to grow together. This would make great discussion. And so use it. Enjoy it. It's been a great episode. We're so thankful for Pastor Todd. We're thankful for you, and we'll see you next time on The Path to Purpose.